Hey guys, so I've been living in Wolli Creek, Sydney for just over 4 months now. And today we're going to be talking about what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and maybe this will help you make a decision on if you want to live here or not. So stay tuned. So Wolli Creek is actually a very new suburb in Sydney. It didn't have an official name until 2002. And I guess you could think of it as like a bit of like a Bonifacio Global City or BGC if you're in the Philippines, something that's still very new, very recently developed. So I think it has a lot of pros and cons for me. Let's start with the pros first and what I like about living here. Pro number one, I really like that it's convenient for commuting in and out of this suburb. So we have two train lines here. One is connected to the airport and one is connected to the Bondi Junction line, or if you go like down south, it'll connect down to, I think, Waterfall or Wollongong. But it's really, really convenient for me because I can have two different trains to go to Central Station, and that means that I think there are trains running to Central every 3 minutes or so. One of the train lines will actually go straight to Redfern from Wolli Creek, and that means that it's around 15 minutes straight to the CBD, which is super convenient considering it's 10 kilometers away from the CBD. The second thing I really like about it is it has a lot of supermarkets near me. So from where I live, I am a 5-minute walk to either an Aldi, an Asian grocer, or a Woolworths. And between those three, I could just have everything I want. I could buy all of the instant noodles that I used to review on this channel. Here's a link to that playlist if you actually want to see. If I want cheap basic stuff, I'll just go to Aldi. And if I want anything else, basically Woolies has everything. It also has a lot of services. So I guess like to live a daily life, I wouldn't need to even get out of this suburb. My hairdresser is here. It has a clinic, a chiropractor, a beauty salon if you're into that. And my favorite thing about it is it has all of these different Asian restaurants. So all of the Asian cuisines are fairly represented here. There are 2 Korean restaurants just in the area. Both of them I've tried and both of them have amazing fried chicken. And the restaurant prices here are really, really cheap compared to the city. So for example, I can buy like a half fried chicken, which is good for 2 people if you're super hungry, or more realistically 3 people, and that's just gonna set you back $20. Compared to if you bought something nearer to the CBD, it's a lot more expensive. I'm pretty sure it also has around 5 bubble tea places if you're into that. I've been really liking No Fail, but there's also a Cha Time, a Coco, and some other less known brands in here. But if you're a bubble tea fan, you are spoiled for choice here in Wolli Creek. I also like that on the other side of this station is a really nice park. I think it's called Discovery Point. I'm not sure if that's the name of the actual park, but it's a proper heritage site. So there's a house there that's been there since the 1800s. There's a really nice park where you can see a lot of little kids playing, a lot of dogs running about. You're also overlooking the Cooks River, which is a really nice view if you just want to relax in the park. And there's also a nature walk, which is really near. So you just need to walk a bit along the highway, but you'll eventually reach like a semi-bushwalk, which I think it connects to Strathfield from Wolli Creek, which is really cool. So in summary, for the pros, I just like that Wolli Creek has a lot of diversity and a lot of convenience. Like everything is within arm's reach and everything's really easy to get to. And I could just really live a full life without ever leaving the suburb if I wanted to, and still be able to eat really good food, be able to take care of myself. There's also a gym nearby, which I don't use yet because of coronavirus, but I probably will sign up. So what don't I like about living in Wolli Creek? One is just that there's always a lot of construction going on here. And I think 2 things for me that I'm worried about. So one is just like every day, if you're like a person that doesn't like noise, there is quite a bit of construction going on all the time. And 2, I'm not really sure how many more people this suburb can actually take. So it does get a bit crowded here, especially during peak hours. You'll see that all of the roundabouts and the stoplights are loaded with vehicles. And that's with the current COVID restrictions. So when things do loosen up, I'm not sure how enjoyable it will be living here with all those people. There's definitely a lot of traffic getting in and out of Wolli Creek because there's just one way to get to Princess Highway, the main highway that connects Wolli Creek to, I guess, the rest of Sydney. There's also just a bit of noise for me because I live just beside the train station. I think that's what made my apartment a bit cheaper than I thought it would be. But honestly, I don't really mind. Whenever I keep my windows shut, I barely hear it, and I used to live in an apartment where we were just under the flight path, so a train actually is really quiet compared to a plane. I guess if you're into like heritage buildings or, you know, Art Deco and things like that, you won't get that with Wolli Creek. All of the apartments here are super new. And to be honest, I'm not really sure how sturdy they will be. If you just knock on my wall, you can tell that if I just punch this really hard, this will just shatter. So it's not made of cement or timber or anything like that. And lastly, because Wolli Creek is such a new suburb, there isn't really much history here or culture, I would say, as compared to something like maybe a Newtown or a Surrey Hills or even a Redfern. Because it's so new, like the only real piece of history here is in that park in Tempe House. But I wouldn't really consider this a cultural piece of Sydney that you'll need to visit if you're a tourist. It's good for if you want to go on like a food crawl, an Asian food crawl. So in summary, I think the cons are just really around my fears on this being such a rapidly developing suburb, and also just around it not being a super artsy place if you're into that. But to be honest, I don't really mind. I like living here and it matches my personality. I'm pretty low-key and I don't really like going out of the house much to explore. So now that you know my pros and cons about living here in Wolli Creek, the question is, how much is it to actually live here? Just a reminder that in Sydney, we talk about rent in weekly units. So I'm just looking at realestate.com.au, which I think is the best website just to find apartments for rent here. So if you're looking for a one-bedroom apartment here, you're looking at around 400 to 430-ish a week, based on just what I've seen on Real Estate. And if you're looking for a two-bedroom apartment, that's where things get interesting because it only goes up to around 450 to 500 per week. So an additional $50 a week for an extra bedroom, I think that's a pretty good deal. And I guess if you can find some flatmates or if you're a couple, it does get quite affordable to live here compared to other parts of Sydney. And again, the nice thing about it is if you like really new apartments that has that new apartment feeling, there's a lot of that in Wolli Creek. I think you'll actually find that if you try and rent here, you might be the first person to ever live in the apartment. And I know some people who really like that. So in conclusion, what do I think about living in Wolli Creek? Well, I really like living here. I really love the convenience of everything at arm's reach, and I don't mind the soulless nature of the city, if you will, because that's just not my personality. I don't really care about the history as much. I know some people really do, and I don't mind the brand new apartment designer feeling. So if you want to live in Wolli Creek or you lived here before and you have some thoughts, let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what other people think about this suburb. If you're considering living here, I'm happy to answer any questions as well down in the comments. So that's it for the end of this video. If you'd like to see more content about my life in Sydney or my life in Wolli Creek, just let me know down in the comments what you want to hear about. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you want to see more. Check out my other content that should be flashing now right on the screen. I have a whole heap of random stuff that I like making videos on. Thanks and see you next time. Bye!